Before we swear the witness, I want to ask the defendant or the plaintiff if he understands that we are now on videotape, that this deposition is being videotaped.
Yes.
When we last spoke, was the witness assuming the identity of Paul Bonacci?
Yes.
Who is the witness now?
Wesley.
Well, can I make a suggestion that we have both the plaintiff and his counsel acknowledge that they have no objection pursuant to the rules which provide for notice of a videotape deposition, that they're agreeable to this portion of the deposition being taped?
We certainly should do that. Is plaintiff and plaintiff's counsel agreeable to proceeding for a period of time with the video deposition?
Not only am I in agreement, I would join in the request, and that's what I think is good, yes.
Yes.
Again, what personality is the plaintiff assuming at this moment in time?
Wesley.
Is it possible for the plaintiff to go back into the personality of Paul for a few minutes?
It's possible.
Can the witness do that?
Yes.
Is the witness now Paul Bonacci?
No.
Would the witness become Paul Bonacci for a few moments?
Yes.
Paul?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Paul Bonacci now the witness? And Paul Bonacci has been sworn to tell the truth. Is that your understanding, Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci, I asked you a series of questions prior to the time that we took a break. The gist of which related to your ability to give full and complete answers to the questions that you have been asked at this deposition, not only today, but in the past 3 days. Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
And do you recall what you told me about your ability to give full and complete answers to the questions?
Yes.
Could you repeat what you believe your ability to give full and complete answers to all of the questions that have been asked of you is?
I am able to give full and complete information about activities and events that have occurred in any of the personalities who have fully integrated into myself. The information sometimes is not complete because there's still other personalities who have not been integrated, and even when they're co-conscious, are not able at the spur of the moment to give details because while I'm giving my information and their thoughts coming in, it overloads the system and it creates a headache, and then that makes me unable to access memory at a quick rate.
And the upshot of that testimony means, does it not, that the answers that you have given in this deposition may not have been fully complete?
Some. Most have been complete. There are a few details that Mikey has wanted or tried to add at different times and has done so in a couple of instances.
And there are events which which Paul has not been able to convey because they're solely in the possession of another personality. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Do you recall when you were sworn in at the very beginning of this deposition on October the 13th, 1983?
Yes.
Okay, do you recall Mr. Gaines asking you in the very beginning of the deposition who your personalities were answer and then just saying to you, going through and listing all of your personalities, and he listed several, 10, 15 personalities. Do you recall that?
Yes, those were just personalities that were acquainted with his client.
Well,
And there were other personalities that were later discovered after that. Well,
these are the questions and answers
To
that-
his,
to his inquiry.
at the time that list was made, like I said, I was not, all the personalities were not found yet. There were some that were found after that was complete for him.
I believe that Mr. Gaines asked you he wants to know all of the personalities that he was able to assume for purposes of his questions that would be involved in this action. And he wanted to swear everybody in. I believe that that's at page 4 of your original testimony on the first day. And he asked you which of your personalities testified before the grand jury, and he wanted to know if there were approximately 18 personalities. And he read you the names, and you indicated that that included all of the personalities. Do you
All of the
recall?
personalities who testified, not all of the personalities. There are several personalities that have nothing to do with anybody involved in this case, and therefore their names have not been listed. He
Okay,
wanted those names, not
he-
outside information.
He then asked you, do all of these personalities have the ability to communicate with Paul so that Paul can in fact speak for them? And he asked you that question at page 10, line 18 of this deposition. Do you recall that question?
Yes.
And he asked you whether you could in fact speak for the other personalities and whether there were any that you could not speak for. And your answer, I can speak for most of them. And Mr. DeCamp said any, and the witness said, because most of them have been integrated. That was your answer. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. You said there is only one that has not been integrated so far, and that is Mikey Bonacci. Do you
Yeah.
recall that answer? And he asked you, he said Mikey has not, your answer. He's integrated into being an interior personality. He doesn't come out externally. Do you recall that?
That was an agreement that has been re-agreed on. It can come out. After the first deposition that was agreed on between me and him, because I started that he was trying to tell me things during the first deposition that I was not able to relate in a method that was expedient. Because I was relating one thing, he was trying to tell me another. It's like listening to several people tell you something at once. You can't discern it all at the first sitting.
And then you told Mr. Gaines that if Mikey had something to say, you would let him know. Do you
Yes.
recall that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. But that's not in fact what happened, is it? You didn't let him know every time that Mikey had some additional memories.
Normally, Mikey tells me things, but when questions come out that I can answer and he can answer, we try to answer it, and as soon as I have been answering, it takes a moment for him to tell me, well, I have something to say. And by that time, another question was posed to me, and I felt best to go on, even though I was confused at all.
Mr. Bonacci, we've asked that this portion of the deposition be videotaped because of the questions and answers that you gave both to Mr. Gaines when he first started taking your depositions and the answers that you gave to me just prior to the videotape. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, do you recall that excuse me, strike that. Are the defendants able to rely on the testimony that was given by you in the first 3 days that this deposition was taken as a full and complete and accurate accounting of the facts that you testified to as Paul Bonacci?
Yes.
And the defendants do not have to be concerned that you will come back at another time in another personality and contest the truthfulness, the validity, or the completeness of those answers.
Like I said earlier, there is some things that were omitted, and the reason is because there's one person that is involved in this lawsuit that I have not been able to question at all, and that is Larry King. And without having him around, it is impossible to put things in a complete fashion because he's not here to defend himself or ask questions that would go into a smooth...
Mr. Bonacci, this is a very straight and direct question. Are the defendants to rely on the testimony that you have given under oath as Paul Bonacci, speaking for all of the personalities that were also sworn and that you said would speak out if necessary, as reliable, as accurate, as complete?
I have never said complete. I said accurate. The information is accurate. That is it. Completeness? No. I have been saying that for the last 10 minutes. Complete? No.
So, in other words, you could get on the witness stand at the time of trial, and you intend to, I assume. Is that correct?
Yes.
And testify that there were other personalities that weren't present at the deposition or weren't integrated, and you now have new memories about facts.
They're not new memories. They're old memories that simply have not been stated before. And I am not Paul right now. I am Wesley.
Why are you Wesley now?
Because I am tired of you people doing this to him. I was attempting to make everything go away all of the time. I don't care about any of this stuff.
Why are you here then?
Why? Because I'm tired of what you're doing to Paul. I'm tired of what you're doing to him.
What is it that we're doing to Paul?
What is it that you're doing to him? You're questioning him. You're sitting there saying things that don't make any sense.
Do you understand, Wesley, that Paul brought this lawsuit? This is Paul's
No.
lawsuit.
No, Paul didn't bring the lawsuit.
Who brought the lawsuit?
Mikey brought the lawsuit.
Why is the name on the petition and the complaint listed as Paul Bonacci?
Because we had to go under Paul Bonacci's name because he's the body.
Well, who's Mikey?
Mikey's a personality who contains more information than Paul ever did because Paul's life was just like nothing.
So the defendants and the jurors are not going to be able to rely on the reliability of what Paul's told us?
Yes, they are. What I'm saying is that Mikey is the one who, in fact, started relating memories in 1986. He is the one who went to NPI. He is the one who started telling the police everything. That is why, from 1986 till the time I graduated, people called me Mike and not Paul. Paul couldn't understand why people called him Mike. But Paul's information that he has given is true and is accurate because he has gotten all the information from the other personalities that have integrated with him. They have not integrated with Mikey, with him.
Mr. Who are you now?
Wesley.
Wesley, let me just give you an example. Who testified before the Franklin grand jury on June the 12th, 1990?
Who testified?
Mm-hmm.
There were several personalities that testified. I cannot list all of them right now. It took us 2 weeks to figure that out.
Afterwards or before?
Afterwards.
Okay, so you don't even have a recollection of who testified on June the 12th, 1990 in front of the Franklin grand jury?
Not at this moment, no.